So I just got done playing the Splatoon 2 test fire demo Nintendo just put out. Currently, I played the first 1 hour of the Splatoon test fire, and here are my thoughts and opinions of the Splatoon 2 in its current form, at least what we did get to try out in the test fire. Now, some things to take note are is that I am not a new player in Splatoon. I'm actually a Splatoon veteran. I have actually played the original game since it launched back in 2000, I think 15. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I did pick up the game around the time it came out, so I do have a lot of knowledge when it comes to Splatoon. Now, here's some things about Splatoon 2 I like and dislike. Right off the bat, first of all, I'm going to be talking about the controls on Splatoon 2. I'll be talking about it in TV mode while it's docked, and I will be talking about handheld portable mode. Now, on the TV, it pretty much felt like I was playing Splatoon 1 on the TV. The controls pretty much felt the same and everything like that. Of course, since you don't have an extra dedicated screen, just like the Wii U, the gamepad has its own screen, you had to actually bring up the map by pressing the X button. I never found it to be too much of a problem, but I didn't really find myself really looking at the map. Just me personally, I didn't really look at the map as much as I thought I would, because it does bring up the map in an overlay situation, so it does put it over the gameplay. And then once you're done looking at it, you do press the same button to take off the map from your TV screen over the gameplay. Also, you do press a combination of buttons. I can't remember. I think it's like A and one of the D-pad buttons if you want to squid jump to another person on your team instead of touching the touchscreen. Because, of course, again, the Switch does not have an extra dedicated screen on it. So, yes, you do have to do that if you want to squid jump, unlike the first game. Overall, on TV, it pretty much played the same as Splatoon 1. Some things I noticed while I was playing was, in Splatoon 1, I really did like using the motion controls overall, and that was my primary way of playing Splatoon 1 almost 100% of the time. I was using the motion controls, but in Splatoon 2, it's kind of a different scenario, at least with the test fire. I kind of like motion controls, and then I kind of like the traditional twin sticks when you're playing a traditional shooter like Call of Duty, Halo, Battlefield, any regular first-person shooter where you're using two sticks. For Splatoon 2, it varied for me because I was actually, primarily when I was playing on the TV, I did not use the Pro Controller. I actually ended up using the Joy-Cons in the Joy-Con grip, and for me, it did vary. Part of the time, I was using it with the motion controls, or the gyro controls, and then part of the time I was using it like a traditional shooter with the two analog sticks. And honestly, I like both of them. And honestly, I can't 100% say that I do enjoy gyro over control sticks this time. Just something about the Joy-Cons and the Joy-Con grip just makes it feel a little bit different than what I'm used to on the actual gamepad on the Wii U. So it's hard for me to say which one I'm going to like ultimately. Ultimately, I think I'm going to need a little bit more time with Splatoon 2 if I want to know which control scheme I want to use, because ultimately I cannot say safely that I like gyro over the traditional way of using a shooter. Also, that's pretty much it. In terms of like graphics on the TV, at least me, it's gonna vary from person to person. Anyone who has better eyes and has a really good TV and whatnot, it will vary from TV and everything. But from my experiences playing Splatoon 2 on my TV, I found it to where it was just pretty much identical to Splatoon 1. I didn't feel like the graphics were better. I didn't feel like they were worse. I also did not feel like the game ran at 30 frames per second compared to 60. I found like it was pretty much a copycat of Splatoon 1 in terms of like graphical capability and frame rate and all that. It pretty much felt the same. Now, in handheld mode, it was a mixed bag for me. For the most part, for me personally, it will vary from person to person. But for me, in handheld mode, I personally do not like the handheld mode when playing Splatoon. I did try gyro, where I was moving my Switch in handheld mode up and down. I did try the traditional two analog sticks when using a shooter. And honestly, I didn't really find one to be better than another. For the most part, I really did not enjoy playing Splatoon in handheld mode, at least Splatoon 2. I personally prefer playing that game on the TV. That's how mostly I'm going to be playing Splatoon 2 on the TV. In handheld mode, it just feels weird. Again, I have said this in my other videos. I feel like the Switch is still too wide, and in certain games, it just doesn't feel right when I'm playing it in handheld mode. And that's one game I don't think I'm going to get used to in handheld mode. But I will need more time to determine if I'm going to like Splatoon 2 in handheld mode. One thing I will say about handheld mode with Splatoon 2, Splatoon 2 does look gorgeous on the Switch's 720p screen. It does look fantastic. I'm not going to lie about it. It does look fantastic. Now, me playing it in handheld mode also, I think also I did end up actually liking twin stick on the actual handheld mode compared to gyro controls on the handheld where you're tilting the Switch up and down in handheld mode. I actually do like traditional two sticks on handheld mode, but on TV mode I'm still a mixed bag. But for the most part in handheld mode, I think I like the sticks over gyro. I just think gyro is kind of weird when you're playing it in handheld. Now moving on to the gameplay and whatnot. For the most part, for me personally, I felt like it was pretty much just more Splatoon 1. If you ever played the original Splatoon, this is just more of Splatoon. So I didn't really feel like there was nothing game-breaking or anything they did that wasn't anything that felt like Splatoon. It felt pretty much just like Splatoon, just with different weapons and different abilities. Now, the guns they did let us try out in the test fire are going to be the Splat Dualies, which are the dual-wielding pistols. And the cool thing about the dual-wielding pistols with Splatoon 2 is that the dual-wielding pistols actually allow you to do like a roll. And then once you roll, you also shoot the Splat Dualies a little bit faster. And I found the movement to be very useful in certain situations where I had to roll out the way and stuff. And since you shoot faster when you're rolling with the Splat Dualies, it just felt very good. I can safely say one of my favorite weapons, or maybe it is my favorite weapon in the test fire, is the Splat Dualies. I just really love the Splat Dualies. Another one they had there was the roller, and the roller wasn't anything I've never seen. If you played Splatoon 1, you know what the roller is. The roller is just pretty much a copy of the roller from Splatoon 1. But the difference is with this roller in Splatoon 2 is instead of shooting ink like that, you can actually shoot ink diagonal. So you got horizontal and diagonal for shooting ink when you're actually using the roller. So you can splat ink in different variations when you're using the roller. That is something unique to Splatoon 2 that was never in the original Splatoon. They did also give us a sniper. And one cool thing about the sniper in Splatoon 2 is that you can actually keep your ink charged in the actual sniper. So if you want to have the bullet charged in the sniper, you can actually go under the ink and walk around, and you'll still have your sniper charged up with ink, so you can actually shoot somebody, which I thought was really cool. Which again, the first one never had that ability on the snipers. And then they did also another weapon they had, which I think was the last one. They only had 4 options. Was just a regular splatter shot. They did have a splatter shot there, and that just felt like a normal shooter from Splatoon. Overall, I can say all the weapons were pretty much unique, but again, of course, the main standout one, if you played Splatoon 1, is definitely the Splat Dualies. The Splat Dualies were definitely fantastic. Now, moving on to the actual special abilities on the game, the one that you could try was the jetpack, and the jetpack was pretty good, but for me, I found it a little bit hard to use the jetpack, in my opinion. I couldn't really hit anybody with the jetpack. I need a little bit more time using the jetpack, but I did like the jetpack. I thought the jetpack was actually a very good special ability. I had fun with the jetpack. Another one they had was kind of like an ink laser. I kind of forgot the name of that one, but there was an ink laser where like you sprayed like an ink line around, and that one felt pretty good as well. And then one of them was a ground pound, where you go up into the air and then like you come down and pound the ground like your fist, and then it makes like a big area of ink splash around you when you ground pound. I thought that one was very unique because one thing that the Splatoon series has is that you can like kind of like jump to other teammates on your team through like a squid jump, and that is a feature between the Splatoon 1 and 2. It is a main staple of the Splatoon series, and to have that ability means that when you squid jump to your teammates, you can actually ground pound the ground with that special ability when you're trying to jump to your teammate, and then you can create chaos. So it does add a whole new level of gameplay to the gameplay when you're ink or when you're ground pounding or ink jumping. I actually do like that ability. It's going to make for some really cool strategies in Splatoon. And then the last one they had in the test fire for Splatoon 2 is they actually had, I don't know what the name of it was like tentacle missiles. They had a missile launcher on your back where you basically shot a whole bunch of missiles at people. And if you actually were holding it down and somebody came in contact of you, you can actually target onto a enemy squid and it'll actually target them. But in my experience, I actually found that one to be way underpowered. What I mean by that is when you target on somebody with that with that tentacle missiles or whatever they're called, people can actually get away from that pretty easy. I found in my like 45 to an hour gameplay, I only got like 2 or 3 actual confirmed hits with that. That may just be me or whatnot, I'm not sure. But for me, I had a hard time actually getting kills with that tentacle missile machine thing. I had a hard time getting kills. And I actually got targeted by that one a couple of times when I was playing Splatoon. And honestly, I can get away from that very easily. If somebody was targeting me, all I had to do was swim under the ink. And I pretty much was evading that pretty easy. So I'm thinking in the main game, when they make Splatoon 2, one thing I would suggest was making that much more harder to evade the missiles if you're getting targeted onto. Because I feel like right now that is pretty much almost like 99% useless in the game right now, just because it is too hard to target on somebody and actually get confirmed kills. But again, that might have just been me, and maybe I wasn't using it right or whatnot, but I just felt like overall that tentacle missile thing was just too hard to actually get kills with. Now, just some summaries of the game and whatnot. One thing I did notice from Splatoon 1, I had a hard time finding lobbies that were full. A lot of times I would be hanging in lobbies from like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 3 minutes. So I wasn't getting games instantly, which was kind of a bummer. I wish that I was getting games instantly, but I was having problems getting games. I don't know if there was a lot of people playing in my session or whatnot, but I just couldn't really get a lot of people in my sessions, and I was just waiting in the lobby a long time. And considering the playthroughs are only an hour a piece, that's not really a long time if you're sitting in the lobbies for 5 to 6 minutes a piece, because that's the time you could have spent playing the game instead of being stuck in the lobby. So hopefully in the main game they do fix that, and that's been one of my problems in the original Splatoon. I felt like you were hanging in the lobbies a little bit too long, so that is one complaint. Overall, right now, my thoughts of the game, just playing off of the Splatoon 2 test fire, I feel like it's just pretty much the same thing as Splatoon 1. It feels pretty much the same. I know that some of you may hate me for saying that, but I just feel like it's pretty much the same thing as Splatoon 1 at this current moment, just by playing what we got. Now, will the main game have more objective modes? Will it change enough to make it feel like its own game? They might, but right now for me, since I am a Splatoon 1 veteran, have playing the original, I just feel like this is too similar to the original Splatoon 1 to where they haven't changed enough, where it pretty much feels like all this stuff that we're playing in the Splatoon 2 test fire could have easily been add-ons or DLC to the main Splatoon. That's just me, but I'm not gonna assume that Splatoon 2 is not gonna be totally different from Splatoon 1. It may totally be a brand new game, and it may feel like a sequel to the original, but at this very moment, it feels too similar to Splatoon 1 for me. And mind me, I did not hate Splatoon 1. I am not a Splatoon hater. I put a pretty good amount of hours into Splatoon 1. I actually played it long after the final Splatfest was actually going on with the original Splatfest. So that kind of tells you how long I played Splatoon. I actually really do like Splatoon a lot. I like it as a franchise, but right now I'm just feeling like it's too similar to Splatoon 1, where I'm not really enjoying the Splatfest, to be 100% honest. But I can't wait to see what they have in store for the actual main game when the actual game comes out. Hopefully they do add enough content in Splatoon 2 where it's going to feel like its own game instead of making it feel like Splatoon 1.5 or Splatoon 1.5 or something, because that's what it feels like to me right now at this very moment. Anyway, guys, peace out. I'll see you guys later in my next video. I'm out, guys.